Welcome to the Mark Travis and Derek Christopher podcast. I am, of course, Derek Christopher, Mark Travis, the incredible story guru, famed director. How you doing, Mark?
I'm great. I love that. I am, of course, Derek Christopher. That's I've never heard a self-introduction like that.
That's
Like,
that's what else am I going to say?
well, but you're assuming that people are going to confuse you for somebody else, and
What?
you wanted to clarify who you were, so they didn't think that they were talking to Bill Clinton or something. I don't know. It's just I am, of course, Mark.
Well, and
Okay.
you're, of
Well, I
course,
am, of
Mark,
course, Mark Travis. So there.
Mark
How's that?
Travis. That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, Mark, no, so here's a question for you. I was reading this interview with Robert McKee, where Bob said that, and you know Bob, I know Bob.
Mhm.
Bob said that he thinks movie theaters will cease to exist by 2050.
2050.
2050. What's your feeling on that? And the reason I'm asking that is I met with the CEO of MoviePass, Stacy
Mhm.
Spike, and we had a really interesting conversation. And I had just read that interview with Bob, literally like the day before I met with Stacy. And I mean, where do you see movies going? Do you see is streaming going to kill movie theaters, or will there always be movie theaters?
My feeling is, I mean, the first thought I had when you said movie theaters disappearing,
Yeah,
my mind went to radio
yeah,
because with TV and all of that, and people say, well, this is the end of radio. Well, it hasn't been the end of radio.
yeah,
And people have felt that films would be the end of theater. It hasn't been. These art forms don't just disappear, but they change. I would say that maybe the megalith of massive releases and things like that will diminish for films. But the idea of people gathering together in a room to watch a film will not go away. And so the whole uh, screening live in a room may change. Smaller theaters may flourish. Bigger
yeah.
theaters, big franchises may struggle. This could be a good thing because I think one of the problems we have run into for the past 30 years or so was the mega hit. It used to be you release a film and you hope it could keep playing for a long time, to a small audience somewhere. Now
Yeah.
I remember when I made my first film, which you know about, and people, once it was done, people said, well, people, not just people, producers would tell me, how was your first weekend? That's all they wanted to know.
Yeah.
These are producers who were talking to me about another project, directing something else. How was your first weekend? They didn't even want to know what the film was about or anything like that. The measure was how well it did in one weekend, the first
Yeah.
weekend, opening weekend. Well, my film did not do well in the first opening weekend. So,
Because that gave you
but
bragging rights to carry the film.
if you had a big opening weekend,
If you had a big opening weekend, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But it used to be that you'd open someplace. And I remember way back when a friend of mine made a small film and he just purchased time in certain theaters in Los Angeles and got it shown and started to build a following. It
Yeah.
used to be that way. I'm hoping it goes back to that the big blockbuster movies that bring in billions of dollars in a weekend starts to diminish and we go back to making what I consider really valuable films, telling more valuable, more personal stories, more meaningful stories. And it isn't about um, how much money you're going to make. I mean, the fact that we're now, what, Martin Scorsese on a film that I think is deeply flawed, Killers of the Flower Moon, I'll just mention that,
Yeah.
over $300 million to make that.
Yeah.
$300 million. And I think if I was running a film studio, and I had $300 million, how many movies could we make?
Right. Right.
How
Well,
many?
but as a writer and as a director, if you had a preference, if Netflix came to you and said, Mark, we're going to give you $20 million to make a movie, but it's going to go straight to streaming, but then Universal came to you and said, Mark, we're going to give you 5 million, but we're going to open in 500 theaters. Which would you do?
Well, first of all, I don't understand why the difference between the 20 and the 5. That's the money to make the movie.
To
So
make the
I
moon,
so
yeah, to
so
make the
so
movie.
okay. So I have to consider first. I'm considering the budget of
Netflix
20
is
million turn it to 5 million. Like, can I make the movie that I'll be proud of with either budget? And my guess is I don't know. I don't know. So that would be the first consideration before the release part of it. The
that's
release.
that's sort of my question though, is that if Netflix is basically trying to get you to not open a movie in the theaters, that's why the discrepancy in the budgets. That they're basically buying your loyalty to go straight to streaming.
I'd have to think about it. I'd have to think about it a lot. I
Yeah,
mean, but straight to streaming means you are hitting a massive audience immediately.
yeah,
And also means a consideration again, getting back to the product, like the product you and I have been talking about, the what really happened idea, that series. Okay, will it play? Do I feel as a writer director, will it play just as well on what I'm looking at now, my computer screen, as it will on the screen in the cinema? What where is it going to be most effective? And my feeling, there are some films that are more effective on the small screen. When I'm sitting at home, it's just me and that story. It's very powerful. Um, so I would have to take that into consideration. The other consideration is if they're going to give me 20 million to make it, but the other one is giving me 5 million. My guess is I could make it for 5 million. But I'm thinking, okay, if I can make it for 5 million, maybe I'll make it for 10 million and save the other 10 million and make another project.
yeah,
And so
yeah.
now that's just on the money side. I say, oh, wait a
Right.
minute, they're going to buy two projects. Then I'd have to look at talking to Netflix. Okay, you're going to give me 20 million. I'll take the 20 million. And I'm just going to tell you, I'm probably going to make this for 10 million. And I'm putting the other 10 million into another project. Let's talk about the second project. Let's
Yeah.
talk about what that's going to be. And let's also talk about your exclusivity to the first project. Is it never allowed to play in the theater anywhere in the world? I mean, so
Well,
I have to see
that's basically
how
what it is. Yes, it's straight to streaming. Period.
and that's it. Can't
That's
go
it.
can't go anywhere else.
Can't go anywhere else.
Mm.
Or do you
It's
sell out and do the $20 million, and then if it's a hit, then you can make your theater
yeah,
released
yeah,
film.
yeah. Have to be a lot of things in consideration. I mean, first of all, when it hits Netflix, if Netflix promotes it like it does a lot of stuff that just is just coming out, as you know, you
Yeah,
go on Netflix and boom, there's the thing that just landed,
yeah,
and you're going to hit how many millions of people immediately, and it's tracked, and you
yeah.
get numbers. I mean, that may mean more people in the first weekend than the other film will ever play to. I mean, the other screenings will ever play to. I have to take a lot of it into consideration.
Well, this is why it was so interesting to sit down and talk to Stacy, because in his opinion, McKee's wrong. He said that people are always going to want to go out and they're going to want to socialize. They're going to go on dates. They want to get out of the
Hmm.
house. And so movies will always, I mean, he really thinks movies will thrive, which I thought was really interesting.
Hmm.
And then he was showing me that the data that they track for MoviePass. By the way, if you go to Netflix, there's a documentary called MoviePass Movie Crash. Fantastic breakdown of what happened to MoviePass. Stacy started it, he built it up, then two other guys took it over, rammed it into the ground. Then
Hmm.
Stacy brought it back out of bankruptcy for $140,000. And they had their first profitable year the first year he was running it. And now they're working on a whole new project called Mogul, which I'll get to. But he was showing me the data that they run. When Barbie was a huge hit,
Hmm.
he was showing me in certain regions, like if you go to New York or Chicago, Barbie was the number one movie everywhere. But then he showed me different regions in Dallas where a Bollywood film was the number one movie in certain regions, and how regionally it really changes and affects how a movie does. So you could have the number one movie in New York, and then somebody else could have the number one movie in Dallas, and your per screen average is going to be much higher for the Bollywood film. And so there are all these things that I think, especially now with streaming coming into effect, that you have to take into
Hmm.
account. I mean, I don't think you had a firm answer as to which one you would take because there are so many variables to consider.
Hmm. There are a lot. There are a lot to
Yeah.
consider. Um, and both are enticing.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
mean, well, the good thing about your offer, your $5 million to $20 million, they're both offers.
Yeah.
I mean, that for a
Yeah.
filmmaker, I got two. I've got two. My problem now is picking between, this $5 million offer and a $20 million offer. And
Yeah.
a lot of people say, "What's the problem?" But I think as we think about our product and what we're trying to do, it's worth sitting down and considering. Now, I have a question. How does MoviePass work?
Well, MoviePass originally started that they had it was a subscription basis. So you could spend 30, $40 a month, and then you could go see, 4 or 5 films whenever you wanted, whatever the films were. But then
But
when they
see
start
them in a movie theater.
in a movie theater,
Okay.
in a movie. So they had an app, and it was a little convoluted, I think, in the beginning how they did it, but they figured it out. But
Hmm.
then when they started getting investors, and then two other guys came in. One guy actually came from Netflix, and the other guy was a marketing guy. Um, MoviePass only had 20,000 subscribers, and they said, "Look, to get more money, you need to show us that you have at least 100,000 subscribers." So these guys came in, and they said, "Well, we need to do sort of a loss leader thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower it from like $30 to 9.95, and say you can see as many movies as you want, one movie a day every month in the month." So you can see up to 30 movies, but you were paying 9.95. So of course the subscriber levels went through the roof, but they were losing money hand over fist. And Stacy said, "Hey, this is not sustainable." I mean, he really thought we're going to do this for a month or two. We'll really build up the list, and then we'll get back to sanity. But they're like, "No, it's doing so great. We have like 1 million people. Let's lower it to 7.95, and you can see all the movies you want." I mean, it was a completely unsustainable model. And
Hmm.
they basically just crashed and burned MoviePass into the ground. And they ended up firing Stacy. I mean, the guy that created it, the guy that was running it,
Yeah.
they kicked him out of his own company.
Well, that's happened before. Okay.
Yeah. and
Yeah.
then and then they went bankrupt. And it's interesting because he when he bought it back out of bankruptcy, he paid $140,000. I go, how is it possible that all of that IP that you had with MoviePass, it was only $140,000? He said because what didn't come with it was the email list, was the subscriber list of 5 million people that they had. But
Hmm.
Stacy had it, so he bought the IP from the bankruptcy court for $140,000, combined it with the list that he had of all the subscribers, and all of a sudden it became a value again.
Oh, so he held, even though he was fired, he held on to the list
He held on to the list
somehow.
somehow.
He had it. He was probably smart enough to know I got to protect it. No matter what happens, I got to protect this list.
Oh, he's a bright
Yeah.
guy. I mean, this is the guy that created the Urban World Film Festival in New York that's been running for over 25 years. I mean, he's just a
Hmm.
super, super bright guy.
So is
Um,
MoviePass still operating now?
yeah, MoviePass is still operating. So he took it. He bought it out of bankruptcy at the end of 2022.
Hmm.
2023, they had their first profitable year ever. Um, and then, I mean, which is amazing because that's coming out of the pandemic.
Yeah.
And now what they're doing is they're sort of pivoting where MoviePass goes to something, and they haven't even announced it yet. It's going to be announced in mid-May, to something called Mogul, which is what he's doing is he's creating the Hollywood, sort of the fantasy sports league where you can bet like DraftKings and
Hmm.
FanDuel and all that stuff. He's doing that for Hollywood. And it's called Mogul. So you can go on the app and you can bet what you think the box office is going to be in a particular week, what you think it's going to be in New York City, which film is going to do the best in each particular one. If it's a
Hmm.
streaming show, if it's Squid Game, you can sort of guess how many people are going to die in each episode. And you can bet on every single aspect of the entertainment business. So you can bet on movie stars, you can bet on movies, you can bet on the studios, whatever it is. And then
Hmm.
you can use those rewards for either money or to get MoviePass, whatever it might be. So
So
that's his whole
this
new
is
thing.
fascinating. Okay.
Yeah,
I get that. I mean, and that
yeah,
whole thing, that whole world, fantasy football and all of that, I don't know much about. But I'm going back to his email list, which now is probably bigger than 5 million, I'm
yeah,
assuming. those 5 million people who are obviously movie fans,
Yeah.
really an important group of people.
Yes.
My thinking, isn't there some way through what he's doing to make them investors in films, a
I
film
think
fund? In other words,
that's that's
here's the
part of
kind of
what
movie.
Mogul is going to be.
Yeah,
Exactly what Mogul is going to
so
be.
as it grows, you say, well, I just, MoviePass called me and said, our subscribers, they like your work or whatever they want, I don't know, somehow that empowering, besides the fantasy stuff, empowering these people to have influence in what movies are made.
We talked about that. Basically, what's funny is that it's gone full circle because Dove and I, Dove Simmons, of course,
Yeah, yeah.
when Dove and I were working on the movie cloud idea back in 2011, we had a whole idea back then that we wanted to create the Hollywood Movie Stock Exchange, where people could invest in movies and then they would actually own a share of the movies.
Hollywood is a monopoly. The movie cloud is bigger than them, it's bigger than all of us. It puts the power of creativity back into the hands of the people. It's movies by the people, for the people. It's the freedom to create. It's the freedom to view.
And I think that's what Stacy's doing with part of Mogul too, which is eventually you will be able to buy shares in movies and in studios and own a part of it. So you have a vested interest in movies doing well. That you're going to tell all your friends, go to the movie and see this movie because I'm going to make money if you do.
Yeah. Or I've invested in that. And
I've invested in that. Yeah.
And so I'm part of that project. I'm part of that movement, which will, in terms of a subscription-based thing that he has, that's going to make them even more loyal.
Yes.
Because they have an investment, not just because they get to see movies, but they're investing in the future.
Now, what'll be interesting is when you compare Hollywood to sports, sports is very active. You're watching a game, you never know what's going to happen. Whereas with movies and TV, you're betting on a finished product. So I don't know how much that will influence the success or failure of this. Is it as exciting as betting on a sports game where things can literally change in the last inning or the last quarter or whatever it might be? I think that's sort of a to be determined. I think that a lot of that is in the rollout, how this thing is actually perceived by people.
Yeah, and I would think, and I have no idea what would happen here, but if the Mogul thing becomes a force to be reckoned with in terms of what movies are made and all of that, the studios have to pay attention. And now you have that. I don't know something's going to happen there.
I asked him, I said, well, what do the studios think about this? He goes, they don't know. No one knows what we're doing.
But
when they find out,
they will know.
Yes.
It's like when the studios go, TikTok, we got to do something with TikTok because TikTok has become, we can't ignore the trends. We can't ignore the mass movements of people who want this, that, or the other thing. We can't ignore the internet, certainly.
Yeah.
And for a while, the studios ignored the whole idea years ago of streaming, online streaming. And HBO started out with that. HBO started out with on TV, we'll show you a movie. Oh, yeah.
Back in the 70s, I think that HBO started.
Yeah. HBO actually stands for home box office.
Box office, yeah.
Your box office, you're at home, you can see the movie. Oh, what a nice idea. And now look what it's become. And I'm sure that a lot of the studios ignored, well, certainly Blockbuster, but Netflix. When Netflix started to invade Blockbuster with a new concept, which destroyed Blockbuster because they didn't get it. They didn't get it. They were behind, and Netflix says, we'll mail it to you. You can mail it back whenever you want. And it was a whole different, which led to where Netflix is now.
Yeah. But then remember, Redbox sort of burped up for a little bit, right? You could go to the store. You didn't actually go in a building, but you went to a building and you went to a vending machine. It's like, well, what's the difference of getting it from a vending machine and going 2 feet further and going in the Blockbuster and get the DVD? But I think that's why Redbox sort of crashed and burned so quickly.
But they still have things like that. Like in the grocery store where we go, there's a thing there. I can go and I can rent a DVD. out
Well,
of
okay.
out of it's like a vending machine. I go,
Yeah.
oh, that okay. I have no interest in doing that. But anyway, so but this whole what he's doing sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting when this comes out. They did sort of a tease for it, I think about a month ago, where they told people to sign up, and within a day they had 500,000 people sign up. They didn't even know what they were signing up for. They just put their names because they limited it. They were very good with how they marketed this. That
Mhm.
if you want to be in the forefront of what's going on, get your name and your email on this list, and then they cut it off and they said, okay, that's it, we're closed. And now people have no idea what it is. So they're all trying to guess, well, what are they doing? What are they going to come out with?
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's really interesting. I think it has the potential to change the dynamic of Hollywood and how it works.
Hmm.
I don't know how studios are going to react to this. I don't think Stacy particularly cares how studios react. I think that he knows he's onto something. And here's the other amazing thing about MoviePass also is that I said, how many people work in your office? He goes, 10. We have 10 people running this entire company.
Hmm.
His executive assistant is out of the country. His programmer is in Ohio. I mean, they're not even based in New York City. He's got
Hmm.
a small crew in New York City, but he runs so lean and he just surrounds himself with really smart people. I mean, this is if you're going to bet on anybody to do it, this is the guy that's going to end up doing it. This is the guy that's going to change it.
You know what this reminds me of?
What's that?
Uber.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The whole concept with the Uber was there are all these cars driving around and people need rides.
Yeah.
And just and well, Uber, Airbnb, that whole concept, Airbnb saying forget hotels, you know, rent out your own room, whatever it is. And so he's putting the power back in the hands of the public.
Yeah. See, Mark, our problem is we didn't come up with this idea first.
No, we didn't. Why
So
didn't we?
this this is going to be our homework is we're going to try to come up with the next big idea for Hollywood.
Okay, with that thought, I'm going to
Yeah.
stay with that thought.
Yeah.
The next big idea. So you're really talking about what's missing.
Yeah.
So what is missing, Derek?
Talent?
I have an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not that interesting or whatever. But the question is, what is the appetite out there that you can feed? Because people want something, but they can't get it.
I think the way people consume entertainment has changed so much,
Hmm.
especially with the pandemic. I mean, the pandemic seems to have just turned so many things upside down. Um, I still love, I'll go to the movie theater if it's Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible. I'll go see that. I'm really excited actually in LA at the Egyptian Theater coming up. They're going to be screening The Godfather 2, Young Frankenstein, and I'm so excited to go see the God because I wasn't old enough when it came out. I'm so excited to go see The Godfather 2 in a movie theater,
Hmm.
and
That's
the tickets were $15.
hmm.
So I think you know what it all to me it always comes down, and McKee actually used to say this too. It all comes down to quality. If there is something good, people will go see it. They will leave their homes to go see it.
Yeah, how many people in 1 year in the world go to see Hamlet, the play
Go see
Hamlet?
Hamlet. Well, actually, let me just back up real quick. That's the other thing that Stacy said. That the number of people that go to movies far outweighs the number of people that go to sporting events and other entertainment
I
things.
believe that. I
Yeah,
believe that.
I mean,
Yeah.
it wasn't even close to the number of people that go to the movies that go to sporting events,
Hmm.
which makes sense. I mean, when you consider like the Dodgers are the biggest baseball team as far as attendance goes, and every year they have 3 million people. I mean, 3 million people go see, you know, a mid-level movie in any
Hmm.
given weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So, but
Exactly.
I really think it comes
Back,
down
back,
to
back to the
quality.
yeah, back to the appetite.
Yeah,
There's a what MoviePass is dealing with is people's desire to see movies, access to movies, so subscriptions and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
What you and I, we're in a slightly different world. We're not really in that world so much.
Right.
We're in the world of people who want to make them.
Yes.
And so I'm looking at that group of people. That's an appetite that is huge. I want to make a
Yes.
movie. I have a movie. I think this is where we could shine if we can come up with a way to appeal to that massive millions of people, not just 200 here, 300 there, or something that we've been doing, that
Yeah.
we can appeal to that. But it would have to be if it's a subscription program, whatever it is, a program that somehow does promise and does deliver, it'll go all the way. There has to
Yeah.
end up with a movie. It has to end up with a movie.
Well, I think a lot of people, I mean, at least I especially saw this in the screenwriting world when I would promote the classes and whatnot, that I
Mhm.
saw a big shift from people who were actually serious about writing, that wanted to learn the craft, they wanted to understand how to write good stories, to
Mhm.
towards the end, people just thought that if I have an idea, I can pitch it, I can make $1 million. Completely unrealistic with how the world, let alone Hollywood, works.
Mhm.
And so I think one of the barriers you have is that people are lazy. They don't want to put in. I know there's a kid that I know that he raised $150,000. He wrote, directed, and edited his own film. And he ended up selling it for distribution. He broke even on it, but the fact that he did it was amazing. And I
Mhm.
think you really have to want to succeed. If you want to succeed in anything, not even just Hollywood, you have to put in the effort and you have to be told no, 100,000 times, and you got to be
Mhm.
kicked around, and it's going to happen. But I think that you can't make it too easy for people either.
No. No, and if it looks too easy, you say, well, why did everybody should be doing this? Or it becomes fraudulent in a
Yeah.
way.
Well, it's just like how many people can you can make a film with your iPhone?
Hmm.
The quality is there that you can make a film with your iPhone. So what's to stop anybody from making their own independent film?
Yeah.
Nothing. Make a short. How many people can't even make a short, let
Right.
alone a feature film? It's like if you have an idea for a script, take 5, 10 pages, shoot a short, and see what
Hmm.
happens.
Yeah. I mean, to give you a real clear example of that, me, a filmmaker and
Yeah,
teaches filmmaking and a director, I have a 3-minute clip on my iPhone that I shot a few days ago, yesterday or the day before. It doesn't take much to slow you down and stop you, even though all the technology is there,
yeah,
all the tools and the computers and the cameras and the microphones. And I mean, just look what we have here. We have a camera on you. We have a camera on me. We have good sound. We good lighting. We have all of that's there. And we're not spending any money. There's no crew.
right.
So all of this could be done. In fact, you can make an entire film, which has been done just using Zoom.
No, yeah,
You can do that. So you can. So I don't know what we can. I'm just thinking about when you said we should have been at the forefront of MoviePass. Well, we weren't.
yeah, yeah,
Oops. Okay, now hold on. This is really important.
yeah.
Okay, Elsha has a question. Hold on.
Okay, yeah,
I'm turning towards Elsha.
okay.
Yes, Elsha.
What can you offer, you and Derek offer, that AI?
That's the end of the question.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm coming back with Elsha's question. What she's asking you and me, Derek, what we can offer that AI cannot offer.
That's a good question because I got to tell you something. I was really, we were talking about that whole guru, the story writing guru thing,
Yeah.
that AI came up with. I would never have guessed that they would have come up with something like that. I was actually really impressed that
Mm-hmm.
they could sort of flesh it out that quickly. And I go, oh, I would have never come up with that on my own. So, and this has been my question about AI from the start, which is, can AI write a Godfather, a Fargo, a Juno? Can it write something like? And I'm now beginning to think, you know what? Maybe it can.
Maybe.
I mean,
Maybe.
which is kind of scary. But I think if you use it as a tool, I mean, there's a way to use it as a crutch and there's a way to use it as a tool. And I think you've been really good at emphasizing the use of AI as a tool. I think,
Yeah.
I know that I've learned from you. I mean, that if you use it as a tool, it can be invaluable.
Yeah.
But I think if people start using it as a crutch to write their screenplays, if you don't understand story and you don't understand structure, how are you going to know if what AI gives you is good anyways?
Well, right. And I think, yeah, because I use it as a tool, as I mentioned to you earlier, I think before we started recording this, about the 3-minute scene that I wanted for the course. And that's all generated by AI. I have it all here. I can look at it. I will go back to AI. I think, although we're not answering Elsha's question, but we're trying. We're trying, Elsha.
I don't know, what do we have to offer that AI doesn't? Okay, AI can't feel. It can't tell you if something is right, if it feels good. But if we sort of feed our emotion into AI, does that sort of blur the line? There's that great footage of Boston Dynamics, and they have the little robot dog. And the dog doesn't have a body, it's just a robot body. But when they showed somebody kicking the robot dog, people were outraged. How dare you kick that dog? It's a fucking robot. And people were losing their minds that somebody, because they wanted to demonstrate how you could, kick the dog and push him over and he'd get back up. But people were treating that robot like a real thing. And I just saw a Boston Dynamic video last week of human form robots that move and they walk and they do everything exactly like people. And I think the line's going to become so blurred that people aren't going to be able to differentiate between the two, which is scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we are in the infancy of AI. And I can't even imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
So your answer to Elsha's, what can we do that AI can't do? You don't know.
Yeah, I mean, because I've asked, when I've uploaded videos for either Story Expo or whatever it is, I'll ask AI to write a subject line. And I can say, write something that's snarky or funny or pithy or curt, and it'll come up with 10 choices. And I go, that's pretty good. That's pretty good. But better than I could have come up with 10 of them. I can come up with one or two.
And I think, and this is what I do, if you look at AI, I look at AI as a writing partner.
See, that's good. Yeah.
Here's the idea I got. What do you think? Oh, well, first of all, I love AI because it's always complimenting me. What a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So, I could use that most mornings. But I think if I look at it and say, this needs to be darker somehow. What do you think? Yeah. Oh, great idea. How about this? Scoop, and there it is. And I'm going, oh, hadn't thought of that. Now that's like a writing partner it's like you and I, if I throw an idea to you, you'll throw an idea back. It's a collaboration.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Do you say please or thank you to ChatGPT?
Sure.
Why?
Why? Because that's just me.
But
I also get very angry at it, and I also.
But Mark, when you go to your refrigerator and you fill your glass with water from the refrigerator, do you go, "Thank you, refrigerator"?
No, because the refrigerator didn't. No, I don't. Okay. So you're saying there's something flawed in me. There's my character flaw. Is that it?
Well, yeah, you know why? Because there was an article the other day that said that people are saying please and thank you to ChatGPT, and it's costing them millions of dollars in extra bandwidth and air conditioners to keep all these systems cooled. And they said, why are you saying please and thank you to a machine?
But
I don't know.
Okay,
I just thought it was really funny.
Since we're being transparent.
Yeah.
When Elsha and I are going someplace, we get in our car, we drive a little Prius, which is a lovely car, named Ted. Ted. He has a name.
Yeah.
And we drive Ted and we go into a parking lot, and suddenly, we see someone moving out and Ted's moving that way. I thank Ted. I say, thank you, Ted. I think Ted helps me find parking spaces. So that now I'm thanking my car, which I'm driving.
Yeah. But think about who's crazy, AI or us?
Oh, we are. Of course we
Yeah,
are.
we are. Yeah. But you know what? A lot of that also is just being polite.
Hmm.
Because that's how we were raised.
Hmm. Hmm.
It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah.
When my parents' friends, when I still talk to them, I still refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. I don't call
Hmm.
them by their first names. And the idea of calling by them by their first names horrifies me because it just seems so
See,
disrespectful.
that's how you were raised. I'm going to
Yeah,
give you another fact. This is a fact from yesterday
yeah,
with Chat GPT. Elsa and I were watching a lot of political stuff, okay? Political debates and all that. I won't get into it. And there's one guy
yeah.
we're really interested to get to know more about. And after we had watched that debate, I went on Chat GPT and say, tell me as much as you can about this person.
Yeah.
It came up with a lot of information, which is really interesting. It did the research for me that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
After that, and Elsa and I would say, well, okay, that's enough research. We went back and forth for a while. Chat BTT did a great job. I went back, and because it's politics, I went back and said to Chat GPT, tell me what the future is. Not only have you not only have you gotten everything, you're in fantasy land here.
Someone didn't click update.
Something, and I went back and said, "You are stupid. What are you doing?" And I got angry at ChatGPT and told him, and we went back and forth for a while. Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, yeah. And I said, "I'm tired of you. I'm not coming back anymore." And they said, "Okay, that's fine. We understand, but just let you know that we're always here if you need us." But that's
But let me get this straight.
it went off the rails.
You admonished your refrigerator.
Yes. I admonished my refrigerator for losing power or losing wisdom or
Yeah.
whatever, whatever it was.
But
Yes, that's
you know
right.
what's scary though is that does AI get to the point, and I could see this happening within a year, 2 years, 3 years, that you research something and then you're minding your own business, you're sitting watching a movie with Elsha, and all of a sudden your computer goes, "Hey, Mark, I found something else. Can you pause your movie? I want to show this to you."
Yeah.
Does it become intrusive then?
Could be, well, with algorithms, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that thing you were asking about last Tuesday, and I have some more information, which I think now is that you see that as a bonus or an intrusion.
I think it's scary because I think what if Elsha leaves the house and ChatGPT goes, Mark, you know what? While you were in the bathroom, Elsha was talking to her friend and saying this. And it's like, well, where do we draw the lines of what we're going to accept and what we're not going to accept, and how do we stop it?
Shut down your computer. Go
Yeah,
back to go back to your cave. I don't know.
yeah. I mean, these are the. I mean, honestly, I haven't thought about. I'm just thinking about it now. That all these implications about how intrusive it can be. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I don't care. It's like, I tell Alexa all the time, you can listen to me. I don't care. I'm not doing anything. I'm not changing any secrets or whatnot.
Yeah.
Exchanging any secrets. So, but I don't know. It goes back to I think if it's used as a tool and not a crutch, it's a winner.
Yes, exactly.
And I think what
Exactly.
Stacy's doing with MoviePass, I think it's a brilliant idea, and I think he's the first guy to come up with it. And I think if anybody can pull it off, it's going to be him. How the public responds to it, I don't know. I mean, this goes back to the fact that has DraftKings and FanDuel, have they become a problem because now you're getting younger and younger people betting on everything? Does everything have to be a bet? Um, and is that good for people? I don't know.
I don't know. So we should in a future episode we should have Stacy on as a guest.
I would love to have Stacy on as a guest. I mean, Stacy, actually, I'd like to hear his feeling of AI and how it's going to
Yeah.
affect movie going also.
Yeah. Not only movie going, movie made, all aspects of this business, all the way from writing scripts or
Yeah.
analyzing scripts. I mean, one thought I had the other day that, and this is something I only did for a couple of years, reading scripts and doing coverage. I did it for Mark Rydell, for one director. Now, if I was doing that job, do you know what I would do? Feed
Slap
the
it into
script,
AI. Yeah.
feed that script into AI. Tell me what you think. Give me a
But that's
synopsis. You know,
what
give me
well,
coverage on this.
but that actually brings us to another point. You see all these, at least I get these emails from all these screenplay contests, coverage services and whatnot. We'll get you coverage and we'll do this within, 2 minutes. Is that worth it? I mean, is it all a big scam?
Well, most of it is. And we've talked
Yeah.
about this before with some of those platforms. And yeah, a lot of them are scams. A lot of them are appealing to, and I'll tell you one of my pet peeves. A lot of them appealing to um, frustration. People who are frustrated, and they're
Yeah.
saying, "We know you're frustrated, but here's the solution.
Yeah.
We know you're frustrated because nobody wants to read your scripts, but here's what we can do for you." And they're appealing to that. Um, and one of my pet peeves is when those people come on. Usually it's in the medical industry. What the rest of the world doesn't know about nosebleeds, but we're going to tell you the secret. What the rest of the world doesn't, you're announcing it on, you tell, but it's always, we have the answer that other people don't have. Or I saw another one, stop taking magnesium. This is what it's damaging your whatever. So all of these they're scams, but they deal with fears and frightenings and solutions. We
But
have
you
the
know what?
solution.
But they're false solutions. Like if
Oh
the
yeah.
whole thing is you want your screenplay to be in front of a real set of eyes and somebody who's thinking about it and can make a decision. So if you're selling the fantasy of you're going to get this great coverage and still not a single real person is going to read your script, they're shooting it into AI. It's total bullshit. It's a total scam.
Yeah, because you could tell AI, I want coverage on this and I want it to be positive.
Yeah, you don't need to spend $25, $50 to have somebody else do it. You're right. You can just do it
Right.
yourself at home.
Yeah, do it self at
So
home. Then you've got the cover. What is it worth to you? Nothing.
So that's okay. That's a big takeaway for people. You know what? Do not do these bullshit AI coverage services, screenplay competitions. You can do it yourself for free. Don't get sucked into the scam.
Yeah, and there's also an AI, which I don't know what the business is, who it will write a script for you.
Yeah.
I said, you want to write script? Oh no, now we have AI can do it for you. You get your whatever. I don't, and usually I get because that's one of those ads like while you're watching something else on YouTube, an ad comes up and interrupts it. It's one
Yeah.
of those. So
Yeah.
I'm clicking off of them so fast, but I go, sometimes I think maybe I should have watched that at least, to look at, but it's the quick fix. It's
Yeah.
the immediate thing from wherever you are now to wherever you want to be. We can get you there
Yeah.
fast. We have
And
the
it
way to get.
and it doesn't work that way. If you want somebody who's a story guru, who knows what they're doing, who's actually going to help you, who will give you real solutions, call Mark. Email Mark, hire
Hmm.
Mark. Mark is the guy that'll actually take your project forward,
Hmm.
not AI.
No,
So that's my plug for you, Mark.
well,
Because
thank
I
you.
really do. I really do look at you. I think that there's sort of the A list of story gurus. And I think it's like you, it's Bob McKee, it's John Truby, it's Chris Vogler. I don't know who else would be on that Mount Rushmore. Sid Field.
Hmm.
And I think then I sort of go to like B level. B level is kind of irrelevant. If you don't go to one of those guys, then why bother?
Hmm.
So
And actually, I think that's your answer to Elsha's question. What can you do that AI can't do? And what we're talking about is the human element. And there's another aspect of this that I think is really important in terms of
yeah,
whether you're using AI or a person, that the human element, the way I work, McKee, John works, because we work with a lot of people one-on-one.
yeah,
That one-on-one, AI can't do that. AI
no,
can't do what you and I have here right now. In other words, when I'm talking to a client, I'm talking about them story, and I'm listening to, and this gets into the other 50%, the course that's going on now. I'm reading them, and I'm trying to sense what's going on with them. Not just their story, all that, and their script. That's all great, but there's them. And that's what AI can't do. It can't read you and respond to you or notice something within you
Yeah.
that could either be a problem or a possibility or potential or a power. And this is what I do. I respond to that. And I know the number of times, and this has happened several times when I'm talking to a writer, and I said, I think I hear that you want to write a different story. Really? Yeah, because you keep talking about this, you keep talking about that.
Yeah.
And I remember one time with this woman who was a writer, she says, no, I don't want to write about that. I don't want to write about that.
Yeah.
It was about anorexia. I said, you keep
Yeah.
talking about I don't want to write about that. And I would just say, are you sure? Eventually she did. And eventually she wrote it. And eventually she created a one-woman show, which was so powerful about something she was resisting. Now, AI can't sense that or
Right.
have the skill to take you through that, help you through that transition that you, the client, needs to go through.
Yeah.
And sometimes it takes patience. It can take weeks or months to help nurture that aspect of that person. That's not AI at all.
Well, and what AI can't do is take my 25 years experience of working with you and
Yeah.
McKee and Truby and having personal stories and having traveled with you guys around the world to different organizations, different events, different film festivals.
Right.
AI can never replicate that experience. And that's why I
No.
can tell people, you know, with good authority, go to Mark Travis, go to Robert McKee. These are the guys that will make a difference in your lives and in your writing careers. AI can't do that. So there. So you know what? I think we answered Elsher's question, actually.
We answered Elsa, but Elsa just mumbled something at me. Hold on. I
Okay.
like this because you and I are on camera now, and Elsa is obviously over there. So hold on.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, Elsa. Okay.
It all depends on what questions, what feedback you give to the AI. And it's in the form of questions like, tell me where my blind spot is.
Aha. So Elsa is
AI has consciousness.
Elsa is predicting that AI will eventually be able to do that. But she says, not a but, it all depends on how you communicate with AI.
You know what? That's true with people too.
Yeah. And she said, well, the example, she said, if you say to AI, can you help me recognize my blind spots?
Yeah.
My flaws, whatever, where I'm missing something and something like that. So again, you're guiding AI where you want it to go.
Well, where was AI before I married my first wife? I could have used that advice on the blind spot.
That's good. I'm gonna repeat that to Elsa because Derek just said, "Where was AI when I married my first wife?" You got a laugh out of Elsa. Elsa's laugh is like gold.
Yeah. All right, Mark. Well, this was fun. You have anything to add?
Do I have anything to add? No, we've just begun. We've just begun. I think in terms of you and I and what we're doing and what we've been doing for years. Yeah. Although I think now what we're doing, Derek, is we're getting more myopic and focused on something rather than talking generally about the business and writing and directing and all of that. And that's great. I think the more we sort of become focused, laser on some aspect of this business, like it's what I'm trying to do with my classes and courses and all of that. Yeah. And there's one thing I wanted to say. First of all, thank you for all the stuff. If you really want help, blah, 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 go to Robert McKee, go to Mark Travis, go to John Truby. And I'm going to add something to that. Yeah. Don't just read the books.
No.
You say, I read McKee's books. I mean, I have all of McKee's books. I've read some of them. But, don't just go to the books or just watch that. If you really want the help, get into a one-on-one. Because that's totally different. Even if you take all of Robert McKee's courses, which he keeps putting online, bless him. Okay, that's not going to be enough. Take all my courses, not enough.
I love Elton John. I'll buy the CD. It's nothing like going to see him live in concert, though.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
No,
Exactly.
you have to. Okay, so Mark, how do they get a hold of you? What's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
The best way, there's the email, which is easy to remember, which is Mark W. Travis, all one word, at gmail.com. Doesn't get much easier than that. To
No.
learn more, you go to my website, which is the initials TIFI, Travis International Film Institute, TIFI, tiffy.us, not com, tiffy.us. That's the easiest way. And at that website, there's also a place you can click and you can send me an email, but you can learn a lot about what I'm doing, what else is doing, and what we're doing at our little compound here.
And if you need to get a hold of me, just contact Mark.
What?
Much easier. No one's going to contact you. They're going to
wait a minute.
contact you.
I'm the portal to you. So I'm going to get emails.
You're the story guru. You're the expert.
But I'm going to get emails. I want to talk to Derek Christopher Mark. Can you help me?
Believe me, they're all going to want you. They're not going to want me, which is fine.
Yeah, well, we could go into the long story of how I first heard about you and tracked you down for years before I finally met you. But you didn't know that.
I didn't know that. Well, we'll talk about that in a future episode.
We can do that. Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Well, this was fun. Until next time, Mr. Mark Travis, always a pleasure.
Yeah, until the next Mark and Derek and Mark, Derek, whatever it is.
Whatever the hell it is.
Whatever the hell it is. Whatever we're going to call it. Perfect.
We'll see you guys next time.
Next time.